Okay, so I'm home today and I'll chit chat a little bit about that with you. I feel like visiting with my friends and welcoming all of the new subbies. So, welcome to my channel. I hope you're liking what I'm sharing. And back to my regular programming because I've been doing the hashtags and the process videos for the past few videos. And yeah, I feel like going back to my little chats again. So, today I wanted to share with you a couple of, well, actually, I think it was 2 weekends ago. I was Skyping with my friend Janelle. We got together to play on our journals, and she wanted to try out the journaling by fives technique, and we didn't quite do the whole journaling by fives. I was making my second one. I did not record it, but we started on the 15 minutes for the paint part, and then we sort of made some adjustments to it because I already knew I already went through the process of journaling by fives with the 15-minute slots for each section. I wanted to go back and play with my visual journal that I got my trip to the States. So, and I should have gotten more than one, but I'm loving this little book and the watercolor paper that it brings. I really liked it. So I wish I would have gotten another one, but I didn't. So, and I was trying to search for the bigger one, the larger one, but they only had this small one at Hobby Lobby. So this one's the 5.5 by 8. It's a good size. It's a really good size for a journal. I was trying to see if I could find the other one, the bigger one, with the same type of paper in it, and I couldn't find it. So this is by Strathmore, and I'll be sharing, after my little chit chat here, I'll be sharing the pages that I worked on. What I did with her was that I created pages that I can work on later on. I did not go through the whole process of the journaling by fives. I did my painting first stage, 15 minutes timed, and then we both went into our pages and started playing with inks over that to get another layer of color onto our pages. Loved doing that because I was able to get some base paint on my white pages on the 15 minutes, and then I got to go back to the pages and add colors and inks and just play with the paint on it without the time restriction. And I really enjoyed that, and I went through the whole book again, so I didn't just play on one page. I went back to every single one of them, and I added paint to every single one of them, just adding layers to that. Once I was done with all of that, then we started back again, and we added, I think we added, I'm trying to think, we went back and we added, once we dried them up, and we added stenciling. We timed that, and I went back in with ink, just regular archival ink. I used brown and I used black, and I added stenciling on all of the pages. Once we were done with timing that, then we went back to all of the pages and we added stamping. And the thing that I really like about working on the whole book, first of all, now it has what, 22 sheets. So I have 22 pages that are already ready to create on. They're not white blank pages, and the whole book is filled with backgrounds that I can play on. That was awesome. The second thing is that by doing that, you work on the stage and you get the products that you need for that stage, and you're able to put that away. And then when you work on the next stage, then you get another set of products. So instead of having my table filled with everything that I need to create one page, I just took the paints out, did all of the painting, cleaned all of my stuff that dealt with painting, and I put that away. And then I brought out the stencils. So everything that I needed for the stencils was on the table, but all of the painting part I was able to put away. So the layers of clusters of piles of stuff on my table are bearable. And I'm still working on the whole book. I'm not just working on one page. It's that was a plan on my adaptation. And then I finished doing all the stencil. I went back, I cleaned my stencils, everything was put away, and then I came back and I put all of my little piles of stamps. I just brought out a whole bunch of stamps, and I got to use all of these stamps that I've had for a while and I have not been using. I took them out and I started layering my backgrounds using those. And some of those stamps that I don't usually pick out and use for special projects, since I'm creating a background and texture on that background for the future page, I'm just playing around with those and creating that background with them. So they're not the focal point, they're just a background layer. So I got to use a whole bunch of stamps that I had not used, and that was fantastic. I mean, to me, it felt really good to be able to use all of those products that I've had and that I had not been taking out to use on one single project, because you tend to go by that theme and then you take only the things that you're using for that, but you're focused on one style at that time and there's a whole bunch of things that you don't use. For this type of thing, since you're creating pages that you're going to be building on and you don't know what you're going to be building on top of that, you're just creating backgrounds and textures and you just want interest in that back, you get to play with all kinds of things that you haven't been using and use them in different ways, and you use your products and feel good about it, you know? So that's what I did, and I'm going to be sharing the pages. I'm going to do a flip through the whole visual journal and show you all of the pages that I already have ready to be worked on, which is what I was doing on my trip to Vermont. I was working on background, on base pages that I could work on while I was away with few things, and then I could go back to those pages and work on them. For my last hashtag Pogus Art Share, I created the betta fish painting on top of a background that I had already pre-made. So I'm trying to do that whenever I have free time, whenever I feel like just playing. I'm working on pages and getting those backgrounds ready so that whenever I feel like doing something into my art journals, I already have pages that are started out that I can just build on, and it's helping me get more done. So I don't know if that's going to help any of you with your process. It's really helped me, and it's felt really good because I've been able to get a whole bunch of pages done, which is way more than I was able to do before, because I was waiting for the whole plan to come through and like for everything to be like all out and ready, and then I would go to the page and try to make it like a piece of art, and this process of journaling by fives kind of like pushed me into another way of doing and thinking about my art journaling. So between what I was doing this summer, doing that, and then this process that I did while I was playing with Janelle on Skype, I found a new way of approaching my art journal or my visual journal that is helping me get a lot more use of my products and the things that I have here. And it's actually a lot of fun because there's no restrictions, there's no plan. You're just playing with different things and building on those pages, and then that will be an inspiration for something to layer on top of. So yeah, that was great. So let's go in and see what the visual journal looks like now after all of those stages. Let me show you the first page, and these are the pages as I stopped working on them. This one had a little bit of pattern paper from the sewing pattern paper that I had used on the ATCs that I created for Rosaline. And in this one you can see a lot of stamping to create texture. I combine a whole array of stamps by Tim Holtz. I also scraped the paint when I was applying them with a little tool that I had used on my journaling by fives. Look at that. I love the texture that all of that creates. And now I'm going back to the first page to show you up close because I forgot to do that. But that was a wooden stamp and some stenciling by Tim Holtz that I applied some archival brown ink to, or sepia. And then metallics over the paint that I had already applied. This was a lot of fun to work with, and I created some of it with the timed limit, and then when I went back to add more colors and finish up the color layers on the background, I really enjoyed the end result of that, and that inspired the next stage. So that's something that I wanted to do on this journal because it's not a recycled notebook or anything like that. It's a good watercolor paper. So can you see the way all of the layers of stamping and different layers of ink and paint play against each other to create that interesting background to work on? The other thing that I found I loved was that I started using my paper towel to spread some of the extra paint and ink that I had on the page and kind of like dry it off a little bit. And I love the texture that that gave to the page. So you'll see that texture throughout the whole journal. And that combined with the little dots and the animal print stamps that I used and the Tim Holtz kind of textured stamping that I used, it was so much fun. You can really see it here. It's sort of tie-dye, but can you see those little patterns of texture that are in the background? Those are made with a paper towel by just pressing it around the page. And playing around in these pages not only inspires me to work on them because they're already halfway done, but now I found some new things that I want to maybe apply to ATCs and other projects. So it's just a process of exploring with materials and layers and inks and stamps and paints without having a pre-planned idea and just letting it happen. This one's very simple and clean. It's all blues and then the stenciling and the stamping on black. And you can still see that texture in the background created with a paper towel. There's still some white showing through. They're all different. They're all very different from each other. Even though maybe that first stage when I was doing it in 15 minutes, I was using a fewer amount of colors and paints. When I went back to that second stage of adding paints and inks to it, I was able to build on to that first stage. So both Janelle and I were in love with our pages when we were working on them because we got to mix both of those things. One thing just did not let you think about, and then when you went back, you worked on it until you found the happy place with that page. But we were still pressing to try to work on all of the pages. And now we both have pages that we can build on, especially Janelle, because Janelle had not worked on our journals before. So this was her first experience trying it out. And by the way we did it, she learned so much about the layers and the things that you do with it that I think it sparked an interest that she did not have before. So, and I have to stop saying so. It's like a comma. And you'll see that I was able to incorporate a variety of stamps that when you're doing it in the 15 minutes, you tend to use the same ones because you want to go fast. But when you do it the way I did it in this journal, I already have an idea of how it works, and I went to all of my stamps and I started picking a variety of stamps that I have not used. And when I had them on the table, I started playing and mixing them up so that I could get some interest going on my pages. And I got to use a whole bunch of stamps that I had not been using. And I love the fact that I have all different kinds of pages and textures, and it's a whole book filled with inspiring pages to go back to. So I really enjoyed the process. Now all I have to go find is images and decide what I want to work on top of those pages, if that's the correct way of expressing it. Yeah, these circles, for example, is one stamp set that I had not been using, and I've had it for a while, and I love the way it looked on the page. It was fun, and those little textured little things there, it was a Lego base that I've had for a while. I experimented with it, did not like how it came out, but I'm glad I got to try it out. And then the ink, I just look at the shimmer. I just had so much fun, and I think Janelle, well, she said she did. I think she did too. I think it made the process fun and interesting, and doing it together on Skype, it was a lot of fun. And mixing up the timing and the free time within this first part of the process was also a good mix. I just wanted to create quality pages on this art journal because it's not a cheap one and it had good paper on it, so I wanted to be able to create a good base to build on and not just like flip through them in a rush. Look at this. This looks like it looks like a plaid. I used white ink for my stamp and did some drippage from various sides. In this one, I just dropped paint onto the page and I scraped it around, and it sort of looks like I have like a mesh stamped onto it, but it's just scraping of the paint on the page and then building my stamping on top of that, and it looks really interesting, I think. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be using some of the looks on these pages to create some ATCs later on. That's the whole book. You've now been able to see what I worked on while I was playing around with Janelle on Skype, and I am loving this visual journal. I want another one so I can play on it. But yeah, I should have gotten more than one. But when you're in a rush and you finally get to the stores, you don't know what to grab or where to go because you have a limited time and you just want to grab everything. So thanks for watching. Besitos, everyone. Take care, and thank you so much for your visits and for your comments. Bye bye.